you are learning how to count. But when you were a baby, your mom didn't start with zero. Okay. So zero is actually a whole number that is not considered a natural number, right? You start with one, two, three, so on and so forth when you're learning to count. You don't actually learn zero until a lot later in life. And so that is considered a whole number and would go in the whole number rim, the lime green, not in the natural number circle. Okay, so I just want to stamp one more time that natural numbers can be considered whole numbers, which can be considered integers, which can be considered rational numbers. But if I went backwards, that is not true, right? Rational numbers are not all integers. They are not all whole numbers, and they are not all natural numbers. The same is with integers. Integers are not all whole numbers or natural numbers, and whole numbers are not all natural numbers. Okay, so to kind of give a little more detail or a different type of example, let's think of a science example with our gorillas and chimps. Okay, chimps are considered mammals, okay? And mammals are considered a part of like the animal kingdom, okay? But the same is not true if we talked about it backwards, right? Not all animals in the world are mammals, right? We have reptiles, we have amphibians, okay? And just the same, not all mammals are chimpanzees. Some of them are elephants and dogs and I was going to say birds, but those aren't mammals. And so to kind of stamp the point is that this way I can use all these labels to categorize this specific chimp, which is the same thing that I can do with these numbers. I can categorize natural numbers as every single one of these labels, but I cannot do the same thing backwards. Just like I cannot say that all animals are mammals, because that's not true. And I cannot say all animals are chimpanzees, because that's not true either. All right. So now that we have talked about each ring and the importance of each ring, we're going to go ahead and place the same numbers from our do now into Tanya's Venn diagram. Okay, so to stamp, we have 1, 2, and 3 as natural numbers. So I see in our table here, I see the number 7, which I know is a natural number, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I see 0 is already placed in our whole number category. That is not a natural number. And then I'm going to look at integers. I want to look at whole numbers that are negative. So I see -2, right? So that would not be a whole number because whole numbers are only positives and integers are negative. So I'm just going to put some notes to myself next to that. But then I see -2.3. But is that a whole number? No, it's not. It has a decimal part to it. So therefore, it is a rational number. Okay, fractions, decimals, and percents go as rational numbers, but we also have to be careful with that because there are some situations in which we write numbers and they are still like hidden as whole numbers or hidden as integers, and we'll look at some more examples later. Excuse me. Then I see 0.004. That's clearly a decimal. I see 0.25. That's clearly a decimal. -3 1/2. 5 1/2, even though it's positive, it's still a fraction. It does not have a whole number. Now, I don't really know what these two types of numbers are. Okay. So hint, hint, these were the numbers that we put as the no group, right? And so in 8th grade, you're going to learn about something called irrational. So I'm just writing this down as, a highlight or a heads up for what's to come. So we're talking about solely rational numbers. And then in 8th grade, you're going to learn about irrational numbers, and that includes these numbers right here. We're actually going to learn about this number more in depth when we get into our geometry unit. So let's look forward to that. Okay. We're just going to stamp one more time that we can create groups to classify numbers based on their characteristics. And the type of decimal, or its notation, or if it's positive or negative, or the type of form it's written in, are all examples of ways in which we can separate and group numbers into categories. We're going to try out some more in just a second.